So, especially those of you who are aspiring for spiritual growth, you need a good mechanism. A good mechanism means least amount of friction. Least amount of friction. Nothing has gathered, everything is clean. Now this functions smooth and easy. Whatever we want to do with this, it becomes easy to do that. But today, in many ways, in thought, emotion, even verbal purity is not there, this is called Vakshuddhi, where a huge importance was given in this country as to what kind of sounds you utter and with what emotion you utter. You can manifest things in your life, in the sense, if I say flower, the fragrance of flower becomes a living reality. Actually, it will happen. But those of you who are saying shit, shit, you're doing this to yourself, just know this. In your mind, in your words, the sounds that you utter and sounds that you hear, and what kind of atmospheres you create for yourself and everybody around you, all these things are important. Oh, where is all this? Nobody told me this. What words you utter, what words you hear, sounds, what type of sounds do you utter? It's very important. If you utter it rightly, like I said, if you say flower, fragrance should come. Because sound has that much power if you know how to use it. See, if you just want to go to work and come, work essentially means earn a living and come back, something. Then with some broken down thing, you can drive there and come back, or you can go on a bicycle and come back. Now suddenly you want to enter a racetrack. Now every micromillimeter of the machine is looked at again and again and again, purified and purified. That's how it is. If you want this life to perform at its highest level, then everything, just everything, how you sit, how you stand, how you breathe, how you step, purification is needed, otherwise it'll not function like that. When you're doing sadhana, it's important you eat something that doesn't stick into you, it must go. When it's done its job, not a speck of it should remain within you, it must be out. So how do you cleanse yourself? One simple thing is, at least twice a month, one day should go, 24-hour space must go without any ingestion of food, just water. This everybody here, our brahmacharis and many others here are doing this on every Ekadashi day. That is the best day also to do that. And 24 hours, that is today evening you eat and only next day evening you eat. You only drink water. If you're feeling very tired or whatever initially, after some time it'll be okay. If you're doing enough sadhana, it'll not be a problem. Otherwise, if you're feeling tired, a little bit of one lemon you can squeeze into it, maybe a spoon of honey you can put into it, it'll keep you going. Twice a month doing this and doing the regular practices, whatever you're doing, will ensure body is clean, but the simplest way to arrive at cleanliness is to be in a blissful state. To be… Hello? I'm not asking you to do anything difficult, I'm asking you to do the easiest thing and the most wonderful thing to do. So, this is a simple way, because there is today, we don't need any scientific today's lab science evidence, but today there is also lab science evidence that when you're joyful, when you're pleasant in experience, how bodily functions happen, in what way it functions, how chemically it becomes very clean. Because human experience is rooted in many ways in your chemistry. So if your chemistry is not clean, if it is getting contaminated by what you generate within you, then initially it's a question of unhappiness, later on it's a question of ill health, and all kinds of suffering is happening. If you take care of this, how do I take care of this, Sadhguru? Oh, in engineering, you know.
The great Sufi mystic Rumi said, "Silence is the language God speaks. All else is poor translation." The importance of silence cannot be overemphasized on the spiritual path. I would say that it is the prerequisite for walking on the spiritual path, which means if you are really serious about your spiritual growth, about knowing the truth of your being beyond this body-mind complex, then you must be careful about what you say. That little tongue of yours can hamper your spiritual growth. That little tongue of yours can cause an irreparable damage. If you have a close look at your life, you would find it to be true. Speak only when it is needed. The restlessness that you experience within yourself, within your mind, is a result of what you say, is a result of what you speak. The more silent you are, the less thoughts your mind will create. But it should not be a forced silence. This silence must come out of your understanding. Then only will it have a fragrance, then only will it have a music to it. Others would get deeply touched by it. That's what happens in the company of spiritual masters. Their silence is born out of understanding. They have realized this fact that it is pointless to be worried and anxious about what happens. What happens is beyond your control, but how you respond to it is totally in your hands. That's why their silence remains undisturbed. On the other hand, you, when faced with difficult situation, immediately put a label on it and words start pouring from your mouth. This is how the worry and anxiety get activated in your mind. If you have a deep understanding of the fact that what happens is not in your control, then you won't find it hard to stay silent. Whenever you find it hard to remain silent, just remember these words of the Sufi master Rumi. When the lips are silent, the heart has 100 tongues. So clam up your mouth, for that tongue of yours is the enemy of your soul. How profound these words are. That shows the importance of silence in a spiritual life. Without it, without the silence, you cannot recognize your divine, infinite nature. Many of the spiritual seekers find it hard to believe that bliss is their very nature. They find it really difficult to believe that happiness is their very nature. Now, to those spiritual seekers, I want to say that if bliss was not your nature, if happiness was not your nature, then how would you feel the happiness in your dream? How would you experience the bliss of deep sleep? In the dream, there is no external stimulus, nor is it there in deep sleep. Then how come you feel happy in dream, in deep sleep? You feel so happy that you crave for sleep experience. Isn't that so? Suppose if your sleep experience was always painful, would you then want to sleep? No. You experience happiness in sleep, that's why you crave for it. A few hours of dissociation from your physical form, the body, get you in touch with your real self and you feel happy. The happiness that you experience in your sleep comes from the real you. It comes from your divine, infinite nature. So happiness is your very nature. Bliss is the very fabric your being is made of. You don't experience it because of identification with body-mind complex. And the purpose of all spiritual practices is nothing but to make you shed this identification so that you experience the bliss of your divine, infinite nature.